From the nice folks at Origin Effects, it's the DELUXE55. Basically, an analog amp sim is what it is. Designed to sound like a great Tweed Deluxe from the mid-50s. And you can actually use it, like, direct, right into an interface. You just have to add some speaker simulation. It models all the amplifier stuff, like the, different tube stages, even the phase inverter. It just does it in the analog realm. And it really has that character of a Tweed amp from the 50s, where it's got a kind of natural breakup that just sounds great. It can be clean with the drive all the way down for sure, but when you get the drive anywhere out past, say, a quarter of the way, you're starting to get into a little bit of, crunchy, but it does that transition into breakup really beautifully. Is it clean? Is it dirty? And it really depends on your guitar pickups and your picking technique and your volume on your guitar and all that, of course. And then when you get the drive way, way up, guess what happens? It becomes a fuzz, basically, because that's what those amps did. It just kind of fuzzes out, it's square waves, but it has this really great characteristic sound, not unlike what you heard on some Eagles recordings. Rumor has it the solos on Hotel California were Tweed Deluxe. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but I know that they used Tweed amps in the studio. And I think also, if you ask me, the solo on One of These Nights by the Eagles, it got to be that sound, that Tweed Deluxe sound. And you heard me do that on the track at the beginning of the video, kind of, the fuzzed out, drive all the way up, kind of playing sustainy, sort of soulful stuff, very dynamic, and it really captures that tone, I think. So you get a volume control and a drive control and then a tone control that kind of models all the controls of the amplifier. You've also got a switch here to go between a 12AY7 style preamp and a 12AX7. It adds a little bit more gain in the 12AX7 mode. Now you got another toggle switch here called post EQ mode. That is to kind of tailor the pedal to whatever you're running it into. If you're running it into a brighter amplifier, or maybe a darker, more neutral amplifier, or if you're running it into like a power amplifier or right into a recording interface, and you're just going to add some speaker simulation via impulse responses or something, there's settings for all those scenarios. And on that song at the beginning of the video, you heard me mainly using it direct, actually. That's what I was doing. I was running right into the pedal out of my, I used a compressor on a couple things. But other than that, it's just the pedal going right into my recording interface. Then I added impulse responses on the channel strip in Logic. And I'm using Origin's impulse responses, by the way. They've got some great new impulse responses out, and they made some of a Tweed Deluxe. So the first guitar in the song at the beginning of the video, that's direct. All the solos are direct. The guitar that comes in the right channel, the rhythm guitar, that's the pedal through my PT100 clean channel. I also played a little baritone guitar. That's also the pedal through the PT100 clean channel. So I'll show you examples of all that, of the direct tones as well as the tones of the pedal through amplifiers, so you can get an idea how it works in different scenarios. Let's get on with it. It is the DELUXE55 Tweed recreation from the nice folks at Origin Effects. So I just recorded my first little part in this track at the beginning of the video, and for this I'm running the DELUXE55 as the only sound source, really, other than the Origin IRs. Think of it as analog modeling, really. So that's the tone. What am I doing here? I'm using the 12AY7 style preamp. So the little switch here for the preamp voicing is in the left position. That's the lower gain mode. Let's flip that first. We'll hear what it does in the other mode. Yeah, cool. Just more gain, ups the gain in the other position, gives you a slightly different voice. I've got the level here on about 3/4 of the way up. I've got the drive on half, so just plenty of gain left there for sure, even in the lower gain mode. Tone's on about 2 o'clock, and then the post EQ doesn't do anything in this mode because I've got it in the setting, where it's meant to be used as kind of a direct preamp or into like a neutral power amp or something like that. And then once again, I'm using impulse responses from Origin. That were designed to work with this pedal. It's, in other words, a 55 Deluxe, Tweed amplifier, IRs of the actual speaker in that amplifier. I think I'm using a 57 and a 160 combined ribbon microphone, and it sounds really great. You can really hear the kind of the combo sort of bloom on the... But really cool sounding. So I did this part direct. Now I think what I'm going to do is try recording another part, I think, with it running into the front of an amplifier. So I'll run it into, I think, my PT100 amp over there on the clean channel, real Fendery clean. And I'll set the pedal up for as sort of close to the sound as I can get, but running through my amp and maybe my speaker cabinet out in the other room. So for my double, I decided that I needed a little bit lower gain on the drive once I ran the pedal into the front of an amplifier. It sounded pretty different than just using it direct, and I guess that's to be expected. Using it as a full-on preamp is going to be a different sound than running into the front end of another amp. So I'm hitting the front end of the PT100 now. I brought the drive control way down. I use a compressor, but I've got it off, so it sounds like this without my compressor pedal. This is just the pedal right into the PT100 and my old Marshall cabinet. Yeah, it's cool. It's adding, 6 or 8 dB of gain or something in front of the amp, a little bit of grind, a little bit more tubey sparkle, and doing a thing. So when I turn on the compressor, it sounds like this. So kind of fun hitting it with the compressor. But I'll leave the compressor off now for the rest of this little demonstration. So let's play with the voicing switch here, the post EQ voicing switch a little bit, because I want to show what it does. That's moving it over to the number 1 position. So this is for obviously amps that are a lot brighter and maybe thinner. The Deluxe reverb, something like that, that doesn't have the heft of what my amp has. My amp's running through a 412, so it's going to be bassier and all that stuff. So as soon as I switch over to the number 1 position here, which is kind of meant for that 60s Fender, late 60s Fender real sparkly sound, it was too much for my amp. So I used the number 2 position, which is supposed to be evidently for running the pedal into more Marshall style circuits and stuff like that aren't quite as sparkly, super hi-fi bright as something like a late 60s Fender. Anyways, okay, let's adjust this post EQ control now so you can hear what it's doing as well. So kind of tailoring the tone, getting like way fuller and darker up here. As I back it down, it seems to bring in sparkle and high end, and the low end cleans up. I found I liked it somewhere around 10 o'clock maybe. That's going to be very amp dependent for sure. Okay, let's turn the tone control a little bit now. So a huge range there, and seems to even add grind on the top end. I'm not sure if that's just because it sort of opens up so much that you hear the grind more that's coming out of the drive circuit. But anyway, when you crank up that tone control, across the whole range, this is a really wide range to match up to just about any amplifier. That's kind of a staple of the Origin stuff. They really make their products kind of work with a lot of different situations, even right into a power amp or into multiple different kinds of amplifiers. Right? You hear the character, the gain changing with the tone control. I really think so. Okay, let's bring up the drive. That's pretty cool. Up around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I could probably hit that with, I bet, like something like my Klon unobtainium and Crazy Tube Circuits. Probably sounds really good in front of this. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that's cool for sure. Without even tweaking the controls on the pedal down there. That's a pedal on my pedal board that I'd be running into here. So kind of like running a Klon style drive into a 55 Tweed amplifier. Let's hear that again. let's get all the drive out of the pedal now. I'm going to turn the drive up, and we're going to get probably a nice fuzzy thing. I remembered it. Little solo there from a band that I can't mention because otherwise this video will get pulled. But anyways, I think that's what they used on that track. Was it a cranked deluxe where you get kind of a fuzz sound, probably with a Les Paul, probably not with a Strat style guitar. But anyway, sounds cool. You can hear the collapsy quality of it and stuff, and it really just starts to fuzz out and do a real square wavy kind of thing when it's cranked all the way. I don't know what inspired me to pick up the baritone, but something did, and it just sounds cool. Really cool. Just added a bunch of mojo, and I've got the tone control up a little higher for this part, and the gain a little lower, going for the real twang, picking close to the bridge. Just kind of fun part. Sounded good with the pedal. The DELUXE55 Tweed Recreation from the nice folks at Origin Effects. Super good sounding pedal. Really does that smooth, fuzzed out, yet, soulful drive sound when you crank the gain all the way up. And then there's all kinds of shades of overdrive in there. And of course you can use it into a recording interface or right into a PA. Just add some speaker simulation, you're good to go. Or run it into the front of your favorite amplifier, or even into a power amplifier and speakers. You can check it out further at the link down there in the video description below. Click there and it'll take you to more info about the DELUXE55 Tweed Recreation from Origin. I'm Pete Thorne. Take care. Over and out.